Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Tim and this is Tim the Trailman, and today I've got a good video for you. It's going to be a cool video. It's not going to be a video that talks about a modification that's going to get you more likes on Instagram. It is going to be a video that talks about adding a transmission cooler to your vehicle. So what I believe in is being able to take care of your vehicle, making it last longer so you can get out exploring and maybe going places that other people can't go. So one of the Achilles heels of the 5th gen 4Runner is going to be the transmission temperatures. They're running an old 5-speed automatic. It's bulletproof. The transmission will creep up in temperatures though, as you're pulling loads like trailers or you're going up hills. I don't have a huge problem here in the Southeast. The North Georgia mountains is where it gets me. And I've got trips out west planned this year. The other cool thing about transmission cooler is it's just not a 4Runner thing. You can add it to a Jeep, a Bronco, a Tundra, Chevrolet Silverado. You can add it to any vehicle that you take and use off-road, overlanding, or even just towing with. Some vehicles come with it, like my 07 Tundra. Other vehicles don't, like the 5th gen 4Runner. So this product here, I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Durell or Durali. I got it off of Amazon. All these products are from Amazon. I'm gonna put links in the description of where I got them from. So if you wanna build the same kit, you can do that for your vehicle. None of this is 4Runner specific. Real quick, diving into some of the details, I got this idea from a friend. He had a Scan Gauge 2 on his 4Runner and he saw the temperatures climbing. So he kind of built this kit for himself, and then I've just duplicated it for mine. I run the Scan Gauge 3 and I've seen some temperatures climbing up there. So I've got some video here in a second of where I went to get some before and afters. So real quick, let's go through the products of what we've got here on the table, and then we'll see some befores, how to install it, and then the after results as well. Real quick, big news. The before and after was filmed with my light grill set up the same way with 4 diode dynamic lights in the lower grill. The Onyx 6s were removed for both of them, not because I wanted more air, but because I moved them to a different part of the 4Runner. So apples to apples with the grill blocked. I know that's a big thing for all the viewers. Okay, diving right in. This is Durell or Durali transmission cooler. It's just a finned cooler. It's gonna allow the fluid to flow in, through it, air cools it, and then out, and it's gonna drop the temperatures. We'll see by how much in the videos. The big difference is I went ahead and added a thermostat from Durali, and the thermostat is rated at 180 degrees is when it's supposed to open or maintain flow. So my friend's does not. The reason for a thermostat is because in cooler temperatures, you don't want necessarily your transmission fluid flowing through the extra external cooler, because then it won't reach operating temperature. And you do want your transmission to warm up, but not necessarily to 250 plus degrees. Then I got some transmission cooler hose. The difference between fuel line and transmission cooler hose is the makeup of it. The transmission fluid, you don't want it eating away at regular rubber or vacuum line or anything like that. So make sure you source transmission cooler hose specifically. Power steering fluid is the same thing. So power steering fluid or transmission cooler hose specifically. And then I also got hose clamps. I picked up some brass fittings, I believe they are, or some form of metal, but they look brass to me. I think they say brass, but same 1/2 inch to 3/8, so the line will fit from here to the thermostat and back. These did not come with the cooler, they came with the thermostat. It came with 4 of these, but I bought 6, so I have 4 for here and then 2 for here. These will come with this, but I highly recommend upgrading from the plastic to the metal for longevity. Okay, so Tim and the 4Runner, take it away and show us what the before temperatures are with the 4Runner going up some steep hills in Georgia. All right, thank you Garage Tim for sending it over here. So here we are at the base of Brasstown Bald, the highest place in Georgia. And I reset the trip A there to see how far the road is for the elevation change from 3,003 feet. And so I believe it's less than 2 miles, but we'll see what the elevation is when we get to the top and how far it took us to get there. So let's take a look at the transmission temps now. Okay, so right there in the top road, the AT1 and AT2, I had to sit here for about 10 minutes for it to cool down to that, because to get to this point, we did have to climb quite a few hills. So I've already seen the temp get up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So I let it cool down to have a base. When we come back to the road to do the next test with the cooler, we'll try to see what the temperature is for starting off, but I doubt it'll be at 200. So let's start the road and see what the temps get up to. And I'm going to be going here in 2nd gear, just so it does not have to keep shifting through the gears, and then we're just going to maintain our speed. So here we are going through the gates of Brasstown Bald, and then this will probably be a time lapse as we go up. But I'm going to keep it about 1,500 RPMs all the way to the top, nice and slow, and see how far we have to go. About maybe 2 miles, and see how hot it gets. Okay, there we are. It took us about 8 minutes to get to the top. That's 2.5 miles and 4,363 feet. So I think that's about 3,360 feet of elevation in 2.5 miles. And let's take a look at those transmission temps. Okay, it took me about a second or two to park and be able to film this. So I did see about as high as 229, 230. So about 30 degrees Fahrenheit on the AT2, I think, is as high as it went up. But like I did say, on the way up here, I was going over some mountains to get to Brasstown Bald, and the transmission temp did get up to 250. It'll be interesting to see how much the cooler does help going on the hills and through the mountains, especially when towing. All right, Tim, back to you in the shop. Okay, so you can see that information there from the Scan Gauge 3. There again, I don't know the difference between the Temps 1 and Temps 2, but running 250 over some hills to get to Brasstown Bald, and then up to 230 degrees in some relatively cooler weather. Of course, it was downpouring, didn't make for ideal driving, but hot temperatures are hot temperatures. So let's get over to the install in the shop. Okay, so here you can see where we're going to be putting the cooler. It's going to be on the passenger side. My winch controller is on the driver's side upper part, and then I've got the 4 lights down below. So I do want to have some airflow as much as possible going over the cooler, and we're trying to fit it here with some banding straps so it'll attach to the core support, radiator support, other areas, and be able to bolt it in for rigidity. And we have to come up with a spot to mount the thermostat as well. On my vehicle, I was very fortunate. I didn't have to take off the front bumper cover. That's a pain in the neck, but the cooler does fit there. And then plumbing it with the thermostat, you do need to make sure that you understand the flow of the cooler so it can open and close the thermostat properly. If you go without a thermostat, you don't have to worry about flow, but you would want your transmission fluid to traditionally flow into the top of the cooler and out the bottom of the cooler. The reason being, the heat rises, so as the fluid goes down through the radiator or the cooler, the colder stuff will come out the bottom because the heat went to the top. One of the other things that we did while adding the transmission cooler was we did a transmission fluid service. This is a drain and fill. People will argue whether or not a full flush, where you hook up a machine and it sucks and pulls at the same time, is any better than a drain and fill. The cooler adds about a half quart to maybe a quart, but the drain and fill will get about 4 to 5, maybe 6 quarts in itself. So the 4runner is about 45,000 miles right now. Not necessarily due unless you do a lot of off-road hard wheeling and or towing with it. But being that I was opening the circuit and adding some new fluid to it, why not go ahead and just knock it out now so the transmission is running fresh with the new cooler and all the traveling I'll be doing in the next couple months. Okay, so now we've got it installed, and it's been 2 weeks later here in Georgia. It's the beginning of April, and we actually have a little bit of a cold front coming through. So went ahead and did the filming again in the same location and running up Brasstown Bald. So let's check that out. Tim and the 4runner, take it away. Thank you, Tim, for getting that trans cooler installed. We are back at the base of Brasstown Bald Observatory. We did wind up driving a different route. We came up over Blood Mountain here. It's a famous road in Georgia, popular for motorcycles and sports cars. I did hit temps about 210. I've never driven Blood Mountain with the 4runner with the Scan Gauge 3, so I'm sure it would have been a lot hotter. I was hoping to go the same route, but I'd like to tell you I meant to do Blood Mountain, but I made a wrong turn at Albuquerque, so I drove the route that I did, and here we are at the base of Brasstown Bald. So we're going to drive up it and see what the temps are. Like I said, I've already seen 210 going over a pretty steep hill, so I know last time it was getting up to around 230 here at Brasstown Bald, and the temperatures outside are 39 degrees, so it is 10 degrees cooler here 2 weeks later. And I forgot my Garmin tread, but I'll call off the mile markers as we ascend the hill and see what the temps are. So let's get going. Okay, so we just pulled into the top of Brasstown Bald Observatory, and I saw 203 was the highest. I missed mile marker 2. I was looking out for it, but then a car came and I had to turn off some auxiliary lighting, so that threw me off there for a second. But if I remember correctly, it was about 230 degrees was the max last time, and the highest I saw here was 203. So a savings of about 30 degrees temperature on the transmission. Everything's been apples to apples on the 4runner. The temperature outside is just a few degrees cooler. So take it away, Tim, back at the garage. So there you have it, the before and after. I've been noticing that the transmission temperatures have been running around 165 degrees, 155 degrees Fahrenheit going down the interstate. And what I have noticed as well is that even if it does get up to that 200, 210 degree temperature, that quickly it will drop back down below 180, 170 degrees. So for the beginning part of it, I did need to sit at the trailhead and wait for it to cool down to kind of get a baseline number. That's really irrelevant now with the cooler. The fluid's flowing through there most of the time, probably just a little bit restricted because the thermostat's actually not closed all the way when it's not up to 180 degrees. But I'm glad that it warms up quickly and it maintains the temperatures, even though I was surprised that without pulling a trailer or even without a loaded 4runner that I got over to 200 degrees. But 200 is way better than 230. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you for your support. It means a lot to me and the channel. If you would like to be a patron too, please head on over to patreon.com/TimTheTrailman. If you'd like to see more content like this, hit that thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching.